Alright, boils and ghouls, let's move on to The Dentist 2, which, commendable that they didn't put it like a stupid tagline after this, like, I don't know, The Dentist 2 Spring Cleaning, some shit. Like, they could have did that. Every sequel was doing that in the 90s. Thank God they didn't, because I hate that. Like, I don't like taglines unless they're very good. Now, I kept calling him Corbin Bernsen in the last video. It's Bernsen. I don't know why I kept calling him Benson, but whatever. Also, if you're wondering why it's been real chill lately. I was at the fair with my daughter last week. So I pulled something in my back, so I'm not sitting up for anything. Like if I don't have to. So we're just chilling here. Dentist 2 from 99. I don't remember anything from this. Like hardly anything. I just know that he escapes from the psychiatric hospital that he was in at the end of the last movie. For people who didn't follow up on their first dentist appointment, didn't see the first one, here's what's happening with this epic saga so far. You got a dentist. Should have become a doctor, but he went the dentist route. And he proceeds to find his wife blowing the pool man. And he just has the worst day ever, and he goes postal on all his patients. Ends up getting captured by Ken Foree, who's amazing as always. He's taken to a psychiatric hospital. And I was just thinking about what I said at the end of that video for the first one, that if the continuity and stuff would make sense, because they show his teeth being worked on and stuff by his wife without all her teeth. But then I thought to myself, and I said, yeah, that's right. There's no way that the toothless woman, his wife, is in the hospital. It's obviously a hallucination. So none of that matters. He's in a psychiatric hospital. He's crazy, and he breaks out. So, yeah, this is going to be pretty much like a blind watch. And I'm interested to see, because I always thought it was enjoyable. It's Brian Yuzna, again, directing. So you got that right there in its favor. But we'll see. We have Bernsen, Corbin, returning here, and I'm sure he just does such a great job like he does in the first one. Like, I'd be shocked if he puts on a bad performance here. Absolutely love the fact that they have the same score. So Alan Howarth, I'm assuming, is back here doing the score because it's the same main theme. And I'm glad they stuck with that main theme because it's a great one. And I love just the way that Yuzna films the hallucination sequences, like in both of these movies. I forget if I mentioned that in the first one. But like just the opening here with him working on Brooke, his wife, who fuck-mouthed the pool guy. You know what I'm talking about, right? If not, whatever. But yeah, that happened. And then he's like having hallucination that he's working on her teeth again, like with the Carrie vibes of him hearing like her voices in his head. But the way that he shoots all the hallucination scenes, the lighting's great, like the bright white light, the music's great with the opera stuff. We know he's a huge opera fan, and there was a decent amount of opera music in the first one. So this feels like a real direct continuation of the first one, which is cool because you can combine these two together and have like one long ass movie. So, of course, Corbin Bernsen is absolutely killing it here already in the beginning. Just his dialogue with the psychiatrist and everything, and trying to persuade her that he thinks that somebody else did all the killing that he did in the last movie. And that he doesn't remember any of it. It was somebody else, it wasn't him. But he's putting on his whole act, and it's a great idea. This guy's stitched like some type of stabby tool in his own leg, then like starts peeling his skin back to reach in to grab it, then uses her as a hostage to escape. It's a pretty genius idea. But again, where'd he get all the stuff to do the stitching and stuff like that? He's in a maximum security psychiatric hospital. I don't know about any of that. And also, like I said, as cool an idea it is, stitching up his own leg, let's not forget, he's not a doctor, he's a dentist. Alright, so I was wrong. I had to look this up. It was going to drive me nuts. When I mentioned that whole shit about the title just not having a tagline or anything like that, apparently it has 3 taglines that it was released under in different countries. And those are The Dentist 2, Brace Yourself, D2, Without Novocaine, and The Dentist 2, You Know the Drill. I like spring cleaning better, honestly. So he ends up escaping, like I said, in a genius but stupid way, and he heads to Paradise. Literally, the name of the town is Paradise, and that's fucking stupid. I'm sorry. That's a dumb name. Any other name. Seriously, it's so on the nose and just sounds stupid to me. Same with Valentine's Bluff in My Bloody Valentine. I always said that I think that name is stupid too. Like, you have a film on Valentine's Day called My Bloody Valentine, and then it's in Valentine's Bluff. It's too much. Here, it's so on the nose. All right, he left a psychiatric hospital, now he's in Paradise. It doesn't work for me one bit, if you can't tell. And of course, it's like the nicest town ever. Everyone is waving to each other, like when they're walking past on the street when he first gets there. It's like, I don't know, man. But if I remember correctly, isn't Clint Howard in this? The great Clint Howard. I'm pretty sure he has a cameo in this, because I remember he's also the main guy in The Ice Cream Man, which is another one. We'll add that to the list. That's a fun movie. But yeah, the nicest place in the world, called Paradise. I like the whole little act he's putting on here. He's pretending to be like an old dentist friend of this guy or something. They don't really explain it much, but his performance is fantastic. Like, does not let me down. That's what I remembered from the few times I've seen this. But their whole little thing, and then he has to, and I don't want to keep going on this, but he literally says, "Where are you staying?" And he says, "The Paradise Motel." But then he has a funny-ass line when he says, like, "Oh, there's great golf outside of town." He's like, "I detest golf." The way he says it is hilarious. Okay, so first of all, Brooke, the wife, is alive. She got dental implants, and he ripped her tongue out too in the first one. So she can't talk at all, but she has teeth, I guess. Something. Why not just sew your mouth shut and just call it a day? Why spend the money and get dental implants? You can't even open your mouth and talk. I don't know. It's stupid. But she's alive, and then she has a private investigator who's trying to find her husband. And now he's going under the identity of Larry Kane. And I had to rewind it because I said I wasn't sure what the hell just happened, like with those two people, the identity he was like trying to play off. It's a previous identity that he set up already. And then he was sending all the stuff with the IRS in the first movie. He was skimming money and sending it to certain accounts. So he's able to withdraw the money that he's been stowing away with using this fake identity. So great. Like, all that makes sense then. Good. For God's sakes, Larry, no one's going to have a sex change operation. Nothing to do with this movie, but the guy's name's Larry, so it's the first quote that came to mind. All right, some of this is starting to come back to me. Now, like the stuff with now the bank guy that he was talking to, his niece is his love interest in that. And I remember this because she looks kind of just like Brooke, his wife, who he mutilated her mouth, made her a fucking mute. So he starts falling for her. And then I'm pretty sure like then when she rejects him and stuff, when she finds out he's crazy, which, by the way, I've said it in the last video, but even more so here. He's staying at her cottage. So she's like technically the landlord for him. And that's what blossoms into some type of feelings. But she's renting it to him, and she lives right there, and she hears him this first night, and he's having a hallucination of himself. And he's saying just like, to himself, like saying like, you can be Kane or Finestone, but we know you're just Finestone and you're a murderer and all this shit. So he starts freaking out and he starts smashing shit and like making a lot of noise. She hears it and she comes looking for him and stuff. This guy would not be able to stay out of anyone's eye, of the authorities, of anyone, for more than an hour or so. So all of this is insane, that this guy's able to act sane and also act insane around people, and nobody says something's wrong with this guy. Like, it's completely insane. Just like him. Again, here, like, this is hilarious. So, this big woman waitress comes over, and she has terrible crooked teeth and stuff. So then that's all he can focus on when she's trying to take his order, because they go out to dinner now, apparently, after that disturbance. Whatever. And she comes over and she starts talking. He's looking and he's like I said, this woman would be gone Like, immediately, seeing that this is the second incident, like, in one night. I don't know. But it's hilarious, the way that it's shot, that it zooms in on her face and it's twisting a little bit, and the way that he's staring. Funny stuff. Then they start, like, he starts a poem and she finishes it. So, like, all of this I don't give a shit about at all. Like, get to mutilating people. Although I must say, that fucking steak he's eating looks delicious. Yo, this is so funny. And then it breaks to a Tubi ad, so it made it even funnier. But I'm sure that's the end of the scene. I'm hoping, because that's brilliant. Again, this is red flag number 3 for this woman, like, within a few hours. So, if anything happens to her in this movie, she absolutely deserves it, in my book. She could have run so many times from this guy. Again, like, after that whole cute poetry thing I don't give a shit about, then he starts, like, not choking, but, like, he's holding his mouth, and he obviously looks deranged again. But it doesn't bother her. And then he just gets up and he turns around, and she's like, what happened? And he says, I lost a cap. And it goes to Tubi ad. Brilliant. That was so funny. Tubi movie. So Tubi wants me to tell you that if you got fucking nasty dry skin and stuff, you're going to want to use this company right here that I can't see the name of right now. So never mind. Paula's Choice. Use Paula's Choice if you got bad skin. Yeah, that was the end of the scene, so brilliant. And then he, the dentist, has to go to the dentist and get this. So I guess he really did lose a cap, and he really lost his shit that much over it. But I do like how they keep him the same in this movie. Like, it's not a drastic change in his character or anything like that. Nothing he does, like, seems out of character for him. Like, he plays it very consistently with the performance he did in the first Dentist. Like, it's absolutely believable that this is just one continuous story of his. Like, they did a very good job writing with the sequel. Especially with the fact of him being so obsessive-compulsive over everything. We see that a ton in the first movie, and we see it a lot here, too. So, just all of that. And, again, the whole theme of the first movie, of the mouth being unclean and having to clean the mouth because he saw his wife blowing the pool man. So he has to purify the mouths of his victims. Like, that, it's great. Like, these movies are so much fun. See, awesome. Because then he ends up getting left in the room that he was going to get worked on, and he picks up the dentist's jacket, whatever, uniform, and puts it on. And then he snaps back into his role of being a dentist. And the way he's, like, touching all the instruments, and you hear his thoughts, like, did you ever get a cavity before? Have you ever been drilled before? Like, do you want some gas? And, like, all of that is filmed so great. Like, I don't know, this is a very good sequel, actually. Like, to the first one, I didn't remember liking it this much. But then we get this stupid shit. He has the dentist outfit on. And then he goes into a patient's room where it's an old woman, which she was left unattended. And he starts, like, going to touch her mouth and stuff like that. And the real dentist comes in with his assistant and says, like, what are you doing with my patient? Like, you're just a civilian. Like, you're not a dentist. He has no idea who this guy is. And he just says to him, you shouldn't leave the cotton in her mouth and stuff. She could choke. The fact he don't get charged right then and there with touching somebody's mouth and shit, and he's not a doctor, he's not a dentist, like that. Do you know how many health codes lawsuits could be thrown against this guy just for doing that? All of that's ridiculous. Not only does he not really care that he just did this to his patient, like, he has a little tit for tat, and he says, like, what are you, a doctor traveling the country? He's like, no, I'm a dentist. He's like, then you should know better, like, to meddle with other dentists' work. Not only does that happen, they let him stay to get the work done. This is so fucking weird. And then he just lets him leave. Like, and then he doesn't kill the dentist, the real dentist. Well, they're both real dentists. He's out of practice. You know what I'm talking about. The old dude here. It's his practice. He puts the cap in for him After all that shit that he did, he still works on his mouth, and he's giving him shit. He's saying, like, oh, this is a country practice, like, so city boy, like, and you would think he would kill this guy. But no, he just drives away. I don't know that. Sometimes he has a kill boner that's longer and girthier than ever. Sometimes he just, like, shakes shit off, I guess. Alright, he goes to the guy's house and kills him. But still, why not kill him right there in the office and then just... I mean, everyone would know you're not him. But, like, still, you could have killed him there. Like, there's just one other girl. You could have handled her, too. I don't know. But it's a good scene here. He's arguing with him, and then... well, first of all, he's telling him, get the hell out of my house. Like, he just broke in. And he just starts belittling this guy and saying, you're, like, the worst part of how people view us as dentists and stuff, that we're the evil that you have to go to. You're that type of person that puts that bad shit out there, whatever I'm talking about, whatever. But they're having a conversation, and it's really good. It's the point I was trying to make. That's where I was going with this. The cap that he got filled. He says to him, the dentist, the real one, says, wait a minute, it's not the cap, you're a fruitcake. What a funny line, man. And yeah, I don't know how that had anything to do with the other stuff, but whatever. Interesting little twist here. After a stupid kill, like, are you serious? After all of that shit that I had to sit through that was not great. Like, the dialogue, like I said, was alright, it's good. But all this drawn out stuff with this dentist, and he just falls down the stairs and dies. That was so anticlimactic, it's not even funny. But then he ends up becoming the new dentist for the town, because the only one they had is dead. That's hilarious. So now, the private investigator that Brooke, his wife, hired, is looking into, like, going around the country to towns that Alan, the dentist, because he has like 3 names now, left postcards or sent postcards, like something to do with postcard. Why would he send them? None of that makes sense, whatever. But there's some built-in stupid way that they're trying to have the private eye find them, and I'm sure he's going to find them in paradise. Then we get this great scene, man. This is probably one of the best shots in the movie so far. Like, it is the best so far. Who knows what's to come? And yeah, this video's all over the place. You serious? But like, I don't know. These type of movies tend to go this way. Like, ones that are like bad but great at the same time. There's a lot of tone shifting throughout the videos when I talk about movies like this. But it's so much fun. He ends up having this vision. And just like the VHS box that used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid at Blockbuster, we see Brooke, his wife, with the razor blades in her teeth, as teeth, and it looks fantastic. And then there's great makeup effects on some dentist dude. It looks like maybe the one she killed. And then you see like a long prosthetic like tongue that's sticking out, and he's saying like to find stone her and to cut it out. Great hallucination. And then he's like freaking out in the car when he comes to. Probably my favorite scene in the movie so far. So, of course, he comes back to the cottage and sees Jamie. She actually has a name. The landlord that he has the feelings for and stuff. And, of course, the only thing that she has wrong with her, because she said, I'm not feeling well. And he says, what is it? Of course, it's my toothaches. Not a stomach ache, not that she had a headache, not like I feel tired, I left work early, not like that. Like, just happens to be a toothache, and she gets into his chair where he starts examining her. Let's not forget, we counted so far how many? 1, 2, 3 red flags between this woman, like from this guy? Letting him work around inside your mouth with tools after those signs. No, like, just no to any further questioning. This is a great watch. Like I said, I don't remember any of this movie really at all. Like, very few things that came to mind as it's coming on screen, but this is pretty much like a reaction video at this point. I don't know, but not only after all that she had to see all those signs, he's working on her teeth and says that she's going to need a cavity filled that's like right on her gum line. She says it's gonna hurt. And he turns around with the needle. He's like, shouldn't. Numbs her, and then he starts working, and then he pulls out a bug. It's him hallucinating. But then you see it from her perspective, and he's just twirling his drill instrument in front of his eyes like this. And this woman's lines throughout this movie, "Are you okay, Larry?" is like all her lines. Like that's almost all I've heard her say throughout this whole movie. "Are you okay? Are you all right, Larry? Larry, are you okay?" Any type of switching those words around. That's her main function here. And no, he's not fucking okay. Is she going to notice this yet? Yes, Clint Howard is in this. Awesome seeing him as always in anything. But he comes in as a patient, and he actually recognizes him from his old town, from the West Coast. I think it was California, right? The first movie? Yeah, pretty sure it's California. Don't remember if they say. But he recognizes this guy. So now he's in some trouble. It's not just a funny prank anymore. Yeah, Southern California, he says. And he mentions baseball, saying maybe you saw them, like they met each other once before, like at a ball game. And just like he says, "I detest golf" earlier in that great line, he says, "I detest baseball." This guy doesn't like sports at all. Like, not one bit. This is a great scene. Like, this movie's weird. Like, it is. Like, I know the first Dentist is very comedic, like in a dark way, like, which is great. That's right up my alley. But this one is even more so. But then when it tries being real serious, it's like an uneven tone, but in a good way. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not a negative on the movie. But we get a great scene here, and the sound design is great. The score I like in this movie better than the first one. I don't know about the sound design. I didn't listen with headphones for last night. I'm using headphones watching it here on this. Sound design's great. But we have a nice, tense scene with Clint Howard, and then he's giving him the needle, and you see it go into his mouth. It's a little, and then he's hallucinating, and he stabs him in the mouth with the needle, and he hops out of the chair, and then he looks at him, and he recognizes him finally. He's like, you're the crazy dentist. And then he ends up he goes to leave, he ends up taking him, and just taking a needle and sticking it through his ear very slowly, and he hits the ground. Great scene. A lot of tension. Like a great, great suspense scene. Even though the kills in this are not worth even mentioning, really, except for what happens, and that's it. Because there's no gore, really, in this movie at all. The last one had a little bit, but it doesn't need it. It's one of those films that you don't really need the gore because it's not really a traditional slasher movie. Like, for me, these two movies are just a character study into this deranged dentist's mind. And for that, it's brilliant. So, like, it doesn't need the over-the-top kills or anything like that. It's not like a typical slasher. And also, it's from late 90s, these two movies. So, I mean, you weren't getting a lot of practical effects with gore and stuff like that in that time period anyway. Also, pretty funny and clever. And I just thought of this now, because they only used the name once or twice. But his alias, Dr. Kane, Nova Kane, like, that's clever too. Okay. So now the plot thickens. One of the bank tellers, or somebody, I thought she was a bank teller, but no, they're in a restaurant, but she knows the main character somehow, the girl, Jamie, the landlord, but she sees Clint Howard, and he says to her that he recognized the dentist from L.A. So now this person is having doubts about him. So now there's a few people that are onto something's not quite right here. And I kind of think I remember where this goes. So then there's some more stupid, dumb stuff here that doesn't really matter for anything, but padding the runtime. And this is already an hour and 40-minute movie. I don't know. But they use the same gag from the first movie where he now has a new construction worker who does like the drywall for his new office in town. So this construction worker used to date Jamie, the one that he has affections for here. So he goes stalking near her house, and we get boobs visually exist here, which is fine. And then he just imagines and hallucinates her fucking this guy who they used to have a thing, but she swears like they're just friends now and everything. So, of course, it reminds him exactly of his wife blowing the pool guy, and that's exactly how he visions it. And while he walks into the house And then he fades out of it and he realizes no one's in the bed. And she turns the light on and he has to sneak and then like hide and then get out of there. It's a cool scene. Cool stuff here. Tubi wants me to tell you that if you don't like the air fresheners for your car, get Febreze car vents. They'll help you in a pinch. Alright, this has nothing again to do with the movie, but I don't know. We're talking of move tonight. All these commercials with like Plus Indeed detergent, like soap, like to clean your dishes and stuff. And they always say like, oh, I thought this dish was clean. I just cleaned them. And then like they show it's all marks on it. And they say, no, you need this one because this one will take all the stains out your dishes. And then he does it again. And then just like glistening in the sunlight and shit. All of that is so stupid. I mean, isn't there only so much that you can put into soap? Right? Like this. You can only make soap so strong, right? Like, so I don't know. It's all marketing bullshit. You see you everywhere. It's all just bullshit. And now, back to the movie. I'll tell you another thing. This video is getting a little long for The Dentist 2, and that's because The Dentist 2 is a little long for a movie called The Dentist 2. Hour and 40 minutes, you could cut 20 minutes easily out of this. So easily. All the dumb shit I mentioned, take all that out and it would be just as good, it would be much better. Not even just as good, it would be much better. This is way too long for a movie like this, especially when, like I said, the kills don't matter much, but like, at least like when you get good kills in a slasher, it's like that peak and valley. It's like it builds up to it, you get an awesome kill, then you settle down for a bit. It's a lot more just slow here. And probably the biggest negative I have for this. But yeah, this is a long movie. It should not be this long. See, she was a goddamn bank teller. I don't know why I doubted myself. This bank teller, this big woman, she's the one who's suspicious of Larry here. Whatever he is, he's the dentist. And she makes an appointment with him to like say that she knows. Like she figured it out. And he ends up putting the nitrous oxide on her, gassing her, and then he drills into her tooth so the nerve's exposed. And then he starts saying, let's play a game, call it like a lie detector test. And he starts like fucking with her nerve. Great scene, like really good. Yeah, he's trying to get like information out of her, saying who else did she tell if she did. And there is some gore here. There's some cool effects here with him digging into her nerve and stuff. Some really decent stuff. Yeah, the tension and throughout this whole sequence is great. Like he's messing with her teeth, he's drilling into her nerve. It's fantastic. And then Robbie, the guy who does the drywall and is constructing on his office, shows up. And he has to leave her in the chair and go attend to him. And he tries to keep him out, and he hears this woman's voice. And he comes running in, and then he just ends up beating this guy, Robbie, to absolute death beyond revival with this hammer. And it's fantastic. Like, now we're getting some good gore and kills here. So, I mean, it takes a while to get here. It's the hour and 15-minute mark. I said an hour and 40-minute movie. Take 15 at least minutes out of this, but all of this is worth it. Like, and everything before this is strong too, for the most part, except, like I said, the pacing and just some dumb stuff like here and there that doesn't have to be here. This is great. All the tension is fantastic here. Told you this is a weird watch, man, because this just got fantastic. Like, then after he comes back to her, he just like, she's still in the chair, it's like tied up. He starts like pulling her teeth out and trying to find out what she told to Jamie, the girl he likes. Starts pulling the teeth and you see everything. And then he starts drilling into her teeth, blood flying everywhere. The effects look absolutely great. Like really, really good. Then her mouth is completely goddamn fucked. Are you serious? Her whole face is just done. Then she tries biting down on the drill to like, I guess that was the last thing she could think of, I guess. And he gets even more mad, and then he says, we're going to cut it out. So, and then it fades away. So I think that's the end of her death scene, but that's a fantastic scene. Like, great effects work. So yeah, the private investigator, he tracked him to paradise, and now Brooke shows up and tries to seduce him and get him into a chair, and she's about to cut his tongue out, and then Jamie shows up and whacks her or then knocks her out. It's getting crazy. She pretty quickly realizes she shouldn't have done that, because then she notices like the bloody axe and stuff that he has there, and then she finds the bodies in the closet, and they look great. Like the one that he was just working on with that fantastic scene, like you just see like the skin is removed, like going up here from her mangled mouth. The other person doesn't even look like they have a face anymore, like and she freaks the hell out, and she has a little chase sequence with him. It's good, and he gets her into his chair, and then she manages to escape right before he starts working on her teeth. So she's freaking lucky, man. Just like the earlier scenes of the white lighting and everything with the opera music playing, I love how they do that here too. He's working on, like, talking to her, ready to work on her teeth before she escapes, and opera music is playing, and then they show the actual environment he's in, and there's blood all over the place, and it's a dark ass room. Like, that's great. Like, really cool stuff. Alright, not only did this woman, Brooke, his wife, I mean, yeah, she cheated on him. Doesn't warrant any of this, like, at all. Like, even just with her mouth and everything he does, removing all her teeth. But not only did she have that fate of having all her teeth extracted and her tongue cut out so she can't speak, she had that fortune of having that great karma come her way. Then she awakens after she got knocked out, and they both corner him, both girls, in the hallway, and Brooke goes to stab him, and the other girl accidentally smashes her in the head with a 2x4, and she dies. She hits the ground like a sack of dirt, and she's dead. Can you imagine what type of luck that is? Like, to have your teeth extracted, tongue cut out, and then just die in one of the dumbest ways possible. Oh, that's hilarious. And then, of course, it has to end in the most insane way possible. So, Jamie ends up getting a nail gun, shoots him in the face with like 15 nails, and he gets up still, walks like out where they were from, and walks into a surprise party for him from the town for welcoming him into town as the new dentist, and everyone is appalled and shocked and bewildered. They have no idea what the hell's going on. He's walking around with 15, 20 nails in his face, and then he's able to just leave. Gets in his car, and he's pulling one of the nails out, and he's like picking his teeth with it, and he's laughing like a maniac. Really fun sequel. It just has a lot of pacing issues. Like, that's basically it. But the second half of the movie is much better than the first half. Like, I'll give it that. But Dentist 2. So that's the first of the double feature. I have another one out probably around midnight, 1 o'clock, something like that, like a late night one. But Zodiac picked it. He picked 2. I'm picking 1 because 1, it's not a fucking slasher, man. It's a good movie, but take care, guys.